Hey everyone. Let's transition. Hey everyone. I don't know why that I scheduled this live stream, and for the last 15 minutes I've been live, but nobody's been on the live stream. So I had to go ahead and make a new one, make a new live stream. So sorry about that. Hey, Cerezi's here, Lancer, Gathering, Paul, thanks for dropping by. Have no idea. And I was trying to figure out what was going on until Poker Mouse pinged me on Discord. And I was like sitting here just coming up with different things to talk about. And I was talking to myself, which is fairly difficult. So how's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody, I just went ahead and posted a note that said I had a new link. Hey Sherry, thanks for dropping by, everybody. Like I said, this is a trial thing to see how it goes. This isn't necessarily about Splinterlands or Atlas Earth or whatever. It's about whatever we want to talk about within reason, right? Keep it classy, as it were. So how's everybody doing? It is. This week has been a weird one here as far as weather goes. We got about 6 to 8 inches of snow about 3 or 4 days ago. And then last Sunday, during the Atlas Earth live stream, we had a power bump and it took my stream completely down. And then today it was like 55 degrees here, but we had tropical force storm winds blowing things all around, and we had another power bump today. So it's kinds of sounds like it's been settling down, so we can cross our fingers. But let me know in the chat what you want to talk about. Brandtastic. Brandon is here. Welcome, Brandon. Thanks for dropping by. Lancer says, live and learn. Yes, indeed. Let me see if I'm going to have to try to get my chat back up. This chat widget that I usually use since the last power down has not worked correctly. I may need to uninstall it and reinstall it. Let me see if it brings up the chat. No, it's not. Okay, we'll just do it old school way. What's everybody up to today? Let's see here. Cerezi says, doing good, tuning in while I play some Rocket League. I've never played Rocket League. Actually, I take it back. I've played a couple times. My nephew liked that game. Sherry says, I'm crocheting a sweater while listening to a blizzard. Oh, it's snowing bad up there, huh? I expect some snow in the next few days. We got a ton of rain here. But because it was like in the 50s, it was all rain. If it would have been like the few days before that, we probably would have got a foot of snow out of it. So I'm kind of glad we didn't get a foot of snow. We're getting ready to drive out. Well, we won't leave till Tuesday, but I wanted to say that we're going to have our live streams, our regular live streams this weekend, but next weekend after Christmas, the weekend after Christmas, they will not happen because most likely I'll probably be driving home. So Fantastic says he's on the iPad this time. I need to fire up my iPad. I've got an iPad Pro that I bought to replace my laptop that I usually take when we travel. And what I need to do is I need to log in and make sure it logs into Splinterlands and do everything, so make sure it logs in. I've got my phone to play Atlas Earth, and I've got my iPad to play my Web3 games. But I need to make sure that the keychain's installed and everything's up to snuff. Lancer says the first time doing anything is always a learning experience. Yeah, I mean, I've been live streaming for years, but it just seems like this power down last week just so it affected everything. And I don't know why the link for this live stream tonight uh, didn't work. One person had reported that it said private, and I know I set it up correctly, but yeah, live and learn. And like I said, this is a trial thing. If everybody likes to have it, we'll go ahead and continue to have it once a month. I just you know. I wanted to express that I appreciate everybody supporting my channel. I've talked about this before, and I don't want to beat it up, but being a YouTuber is getting more difficult as far as being worth the time. I loved one thing I like about it is talking to everybody who have specific interests like mine, like to play the same games and stuff like that. But it makes it worth it. So. Gathering says, having fun with the new avatars and exemplars, now trying to decide how to spend my glint on. Uh, yeah, yeah, I did mine this morning too. Actually, I was in here just, while we're talking, I'm just going to be doing some things because my land plot and Splinterlands are all full at this point, so I need to go ahead and fill those up. But yeah, I got in there and I made my guy. For those who don't play Splinterlands, a major new feature went into the game yesterday, and allows you to create your character and kind of level it up. And there's also a secondary thing called the exemplar where you can like make a card of yourself and it will be usable for certain things. And so we can talk about that after a while if anybody wants to. But I really need to harvest my land while we're talking. Let's see here. Brandtastic says, yesterday I watched it chapters 1 and 2. What'd you watch chapters 1 and 2 of? Sherry says, yes, we're getting the win now. It might be the same system hitting me. Yeah, it was like, seriously, it blew my trash cans over. They were out at the road. They blew over. I brought them up. They blew over. So I just left them laying on their side. And I was just hoping that nothing would blow over here. It was so windy that I was hoping nothing, like windows wouldn't get broken or something like that. Gathering says, light snowing here in Michigan, but supposed to hit 50 on Christmas Day. Yeah, I hate muddy Christmases. And it surprised me that it actually snowed here before Christmas a few days ago, because we hadn't had snow right before Christmas for quite a long time. It had been usually in January when we saw most of our snow action up here outside of Philadelphia. But we're going to drive over to Pittsburgh, and they usually get more snow over there than we get over here for some reason. I guess they have the lake effect coming down off the Great Lakes right there. Brandtastic says, I'm doing Atlas Earth surveys at the moment. I was just playing a new game I had downloaded on the arcade. We'll just look at this. It's called World War something or other, but it's one of those games where you build a base, and I've played this similar game in several others, but you join a group and you build your base and you build up your attack and defense, and you go out and conquer, both, game monsters or not monsters, but forces, as well as other actual PvP, right? And I've played this game a number of different times. It kind of intrigued me. I saw it. I like puzzle games on the arcade, and this piqued my interest, so I went ahead and got it. Like, we go out, we can find certain levels of things to attack, and then you level up your tanks and stuff by combining cards, and so I was doing that. Proud Mama says they just got off work. Well, it's always nice to just get off work. I work from homes on Mondays and Fridays, which is a nice thing since pretty much COVID hit. And I'll take it. Well, I can still get it, but our company's had 3 rounds of layoffs this year, so I'm still standing, but I've got the work of about 2 or 3 people. It is what it is, I guess. Um, Gathering says leaving Sunday morning for Texas to spend. That's a nice long drive there. This holidays with family, won't be home until after New Year's. So if you don't see me online, that's why. I can completely understand. We lived in New Orleans for about a dozen years, and my family is in the middle of Indiana, and my wife's family's up in Pittsburgh. So anytime we wanted to go up for the holidays, it was quite a drive. So I understand that. Quite a drive. It's like from New Orleans to Indianapolis was like 12 to 14 hours, depending upon, what kind of traffic you hit and everything. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and do my claims because I need to. And I've got a land card. Interestingly, for those who play Splinterlands, I ended up with 3 level 5 grain cards. Brandon says, do you have some kind of car mount for your iPhone or iPad? Just asking. I do not. There's plenty of places. When they built, I've got a Bronco, and they built things right in the dashboard that you can screw like cameras and mounts and stuff like that. But they also have down in front of the cup holders, they have a phone charger, a magnetic phone charger that you can just lay your phone on and it charges it. And I just lay it in there and let it charge while I'm driving. I have a screen for my navigation and everything, so I don't need my phone. But yeah, I just let it charge. And interestingly enough, this case I bought for, it's an OtterBox. They said it is supposed to be, those chargers, magnetic chargers, are supposed to work through it. And they do somewhat, but I would say that it doesn't work great through them. So anyway, so yeah, I don't put them on a mount on my wife and daughter have mounts so they can have their phone right up there. Me, I don't really look at my phone when I'm driving. I guess if I've become accustomed to just using the navigation in my car. So that's like one thing I really like. Do I really need it? Could I go back to a map? Could I use my phone? Yeah, but it's easier when it's just the big screen right up there. And I make it a point not to fool with my phone when I'm driving because I think that's just it causes a lot of wrecks, to be frank. Let's see here. I was looking for my land harvest. I'm just taking the numbers down while we're talking here. Because I want to get them back up and running. You can only let this land go for 7 days, and then it fills up, and you don't earn any more. Until you clear it off. Sherry says, yeah, that power outage did something strange to your setup. Yeah, I don't know. And my phone is acting like, no, I don't want to talk to Siri. I guess I talked too loud. Yeah, it screwed everything up. It took me a while to get back up and running, and now it looks like I'm going to have to uninstall and reinstall that add-on for the chat. Gathering says, not going to claim until tomorrow when the Labor's Luck ability goes live. Well, I don't have a Labor's Luck because I don't have a $750 card. I was looking at that on the market today. Let's do a refresh. Yep, still up there, $780. Okay. That's a max level common card for $780. You ever think you'd see that? Lancer says, I'm really enjoyed watching your Atlas Earth coverage. It's been very informative. Well, thanks. Yeah, I started playing Atlas Earth last year, early on, around the March time frame. And after I'd played it, I started learning things about the game, right? And I'm like, nobody else is making videos about this, because I was looking for information and I found a Tasty Wallet guide on it, right? But nobody was making videos about it. So I'm like, this would make a good topic for videos. Plus it would teach people how to play the game, because I saw that a lot of people were kind of, I don't want to say playing the game wrong. I want to say the game it's not intuitive if you don't, it's like trying to play a game that you don't know the rules by. So the way I view it is that I was just making episodes about how to, critically think about the game and make decisions instead of just randomly doing stuff. And I understand there's some people that like to just randomly play the game, but I prefer to actually, have logic in my decisions, especially where money's involved with it, right? Sherry says, we've been having almost white Christmases up here in recent years, but we got walloped with that lake effect snow from the other side of the province. Yeah, I've been hearing about it. I mean, this whole last week is like affected everybody from up in Canada. It was like a massive swoop down into the northern part of the United States that everybody just got dumped on, basically. Brandon says, not IT, the Pennywise, the Dancing Clown movie. I never watched that. It's a horror movie. Yeah, I've seen all the, commercials and everything. I even binge watched all eight episodes of it. Welcome to Derry prequel series. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I don't watch horror movies. I see, whenever I watch a movie, my version of being entertained does not include horror. Okay. I like comedies, but I don't like comedies that are cheesy and kind of cringy. The comedies that here's an example, like the old Jerry Lewis comedies and stuff. I always found them very cringy. But I do like comedies. I like sci-fi. I love Star Wars. I love the Marvel universe, things like that. Typical geek fashion, I've loved them ever since I was a kid, So I'm a sucker for like Lord of the Rings. And in fact, this is a little bit, I've talked about this a little bit, but starting in the new year, this has nothing really to do with Lord of the Rings, but it has something to do with my love of literature. My daughter and I are starting a new YouTube channel, and it'll be like, it'll be like audiobooks. And the first book, since we're a small crowd here, the first book is going to be a Agatha Christie mystery. So my daughter and I split up the parts where I do the male parts and she does the female parts. And there'll be one episode a week, one episode a week. When it starts out at the beginning of the year, there'll be 4 episodes dropped, and then one a week, and it's 2 chapters, and it includes us talking about it. So if you like books, I'll talk about it and drop some links when we get close to it, but I thought you might think that's interesting. But love reading. It's just since the advent of the internet, I do a lot less reading. So I figured that would be a great way to do something with my daughter and have a little bit of fun. So if you want to have something to listen to while you're, crocheting or something like that, you can tune in. I just wanted to, have something to do with her while she's still living here. She's not going to be living here much longer, but the situation, the state of the economy as it is, it's very hard for, not that it wasn't always hard to kind of go out and get your own first place, right? But I think it's exceptionally harder now with the economy the way it is. So either way, I'm taking advantage of the dad time, so to speak. Poker Mouse. Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I don't know what happened to that. I don't know what happened to the link. So what I did was I turned it off. I was sitting here talking to myself for 15 minutes, and I'm like, where is everybody? I didn't expect a large crowd, but I expected a few people, right? And so Poker Mouse pinged me in Discord, and I'm like, well, I'm just turning it off and restarting it and redoing it with a new link. So you're working nights today. Oh, well, I've had some jobs over the years where I didn't mind working nights, and I've had some where I just didn't like it. So I hope the action is light for you around the holidays, for everybody leading up to the holidays. Brandon says, I believe that is called MagSafe. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The technology where no. Yeah, who knows? I know that Apple used to call the connectors that had the magnets on them to MacBooks. They used to call that MagSafe connectors. So I don't know what they call the actual. Android does it too. Whatever you call that, where it's got a disc in the back and it works off magnetics, right? So charges it. Oh, Sherry says, I love MagSafe. So I guess maybe it is called MagSafe. I guess like I'm an old guy, but Apple MacBooks used to have a connector for the power that had a magnet on it, and they called that MagSafe as well. Sherry says, Siri was probably triggered by my name. Possibly. I don't trigger Siri too often. I know it's kind of like a joke thing, but it doesn't trigger too often. She says she has MagSafe chargers everywhere in the house. I have one on my my nightstand next to my bed for my watch. I also have an Apple Watch, which I just got this year. It's doing pretty good. I like it. My old Fitbit just bit the dust, so I had to get something new. Poker Mouse says, off gaming topic. I'm from the UK and heading to Florida. Wow, it's late over there. Thanks for staying up late with us. In summer, was thinking about heading out to where they filmed Dirty Dancing, that holiday resort. Has anyone ever been, as was going to take the missus? I've never been there. Sherry says, it sounds like fun. Now you've got me wondering. Says the primary filming location in '87 was Mountain Lake Ridge, located in Pembroke, Virginia. Although the fictional Kellerman's Resort is set in the Catskills of New York State. The film was shot largely in Virginia. I can't tell you anything about it. I've seen it a few times over the years, but other than that, I've never been there. So. Sherry says audiobooks are perfect for crocheting. My daughter likes to knit. She doesn't crochet. She knits. And I've been told that there's a difference. And I assume there's a difference. I just don't know what the difference is. She likes to knit, and she likes to do needlepoint. So she likes all those things. Crafty, as it were. So Sherry says the MagSafe is in reference to the big circles too. Cool. We learned something tonight. I learned that it doesn't work too well through my OtterBox phone case when it's advertised that it should. But you know what I notice is most phone cases that are advertised with that, they have like a metal disc in it in the back or something. Mine doesn't have that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I ordered the wrong one. I don't know. Lancer says, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I've gotten out of the habit, but I used to. There for a long time, I just stopped listening to radio. And I just started listening to audiobooks. So the audiobooks we're going to cover are going to be in the public domain. So they're going to be older stuff, but they're going to be classics. I just don't want to even deal with having, you can't just take any book and make an audio book out of it, because people have their trademark or copyright rights, right? So, but once the book is more than, every country has a different rule, but in the States, it's like over 50 years old. And then they have a new list that comes out at the beginning of the year. And my daughter and I like mysteries pretty much, but we also like, fantasy fiction, stuff like that too. Lancer asks, what's your favorite genre? Like I just said, love mysteries. I'm a big fan of the old school mysteries. And in fact, this new, I've really enjoyed this on a newer tip. I've really enjoyed the new Knives Out series on Netflix. They're on like the third one. We just watched the newest one that just dropped, and I've really enjoyed it. Agatha Christie, that kind of thing, classic mysteries. I love those. Brandon says, how old is your daughter? If you don't have a problem asking me, but completely understand if you don't want to say. She's in her mid-20s. That's what I'll say. She's been out of college for a while. She has a decent job. She works in a lab. And I'm very proud of her. And she's saving up. She is saving up for a house, and she's got a good savings going, and she just bought herself a new car this year. So around the same time I bought mine too. So we were kind of both doing our homework for the car purchases at the same time. So, and we even drive in together, because where we work is very close. So we'll trade off days and carpool. So we're spending less on gas, and there's less pollution in the air and such. So plus we get talk time, talk a little bit. Poker Mouse says, Bronze, were you ever into Warhammer Games Workshop? I love the idea. I love painting miniatures, but I never full on got into playing the game in a real life, you go down to the shop and set up all your miniatures and everything. I never got into it. I've watched people do it. I've played the various video games, some of the various video games around the franchise, but I've never played it myself. And I'm probably, I couldn't really answer a whole lot of questions about it. I like the idea. I like the fiction around it and the storyline. But I think what I got into was painting the miniatures. Sherry says, yes, my MacBook from 2013 has the MagSafe and saved the cable from my pet a few times. Yeah, I like that whole idea. Their whole idea of the magnetic connector in the laptop was that if somebody tripped over the cable, instead of ripping it out of the back of your computer or pulling your computer onto the ground or something off the table, it would just, magnetic would just disconnect. I love that whole idea. In fact, I think they're bringing it back, but they did away, they went away from that for quite a while. So I like that whole idea. Sherry says, hey, that's my city name. City name. You can stay at Kellerman's. Huh. Sherry says, I also knit, and there absolutely is a difference. Sherry says, my cases have the disc circle magnet in them. Yeah, mine do not. So I don't know. I know specifically when I ordered it that it was supposed to be fine. And it does work, but it has to be exactly lined up. I just can't throw the phone down in there and expect it to work. It has to be exactly lined up. And I feel like the signal isn't as strong as it would be in a proper case with the metal disc. Paul asks, what's your take on skins? Do you like them or not like them or neutral? Well, I think I've said this in different shows before, or different episodes. I've never been one in a game to buy a skin just for looks. Generally speaking, over the years, I've really just bought things that would increase my power or increase my playing, or give me some kind of bonus in game, not just for looks. I've been that guy on a raid that had haphazard outfit. I was not the guy that went out and paid $100 to look cool. With that said, you're probably referring to the skins in game. Let's take this down here for a minute. I think there's a filter where we can filter skins owned. Let's reset all. Here we go. Why? Oh, okay. So I do have some skins. I have the Halloween skins, and I have the skins for Christmas. However, I haven't gotten any out of a box yet. So the reason why I say that is normally I would not be a person that would buy skins in a game. With that said, I like the tie-in with holidays in games where you can do different things and you can, like in different games, they have Christmas outfits or Halloween type outfits or something like that. I like that. So I like the idea within Splinterlands of having skins for the cards. And I've been buying them, so I think it's cool. It's an option. I like the fact that they're not overly expensive and you buy them with glint, so you don't really have to come out of pocket. You can just pay with your glint. I think we're getting in a situation, a whole different topic on glint, where we're in exactly the situation where Matt wants to be, is that we've got so many things we can do with glint that it's hard to choose, right? So I like them. I think they're a good addition to the game. They're just one of those things that's for fun, right? So, and I like the idea that they're spreading them out. In other words, having some that you can buy. Let's go to the shop under, it would be under rewards. So like I've bought all these, and they're fairly cheap except for, obviously these bigger ones. And I bought them. I don't necessarily have all these cards, but I like the idea. I like where they're going with it. They've done a ton of things this year, and I like the tie-in with the holidays. So, but like I've said also, I'm not the biggest buyer on the actual card playing side at this point. I'm more focused on the land side. So, yeah, I like the idea. I like where they're going with it. I've been really enjoying the artwork over this last year. It seems like Nate's got the art team firing on all cylinders. So, Proud Mama says they also knit and crochet. Sherry says, nice. I find it so relaxing. Yeah, I think my daughter finds it also relaxing as well, because she'll be like sitting over there knitting while we're watching a show or something or other, or while she's you know, listening to a podcast or something or other. Not I have never really gotten into it myself. No. Poker Mouse says, regarding Games Workshop is the same, never really got into it on a massive scale, but when young we were allowed to. We're allowed to, or we're not allowed to. I was more, when I was younger, I was more into Dungeons and Dragons. I was into Dungeons and Dragons during that whole period in the late 80s where people, it was massive. If you're younger, this was like a massive thing across media where moms were saying, oh, you know, if you play Dungeons and Dragons, um, you're worshiping the devil or whatever. And my mom was one of the most devout Catholics you'd ever meet, right? And she was wanting to know what all this was about. She saw me playing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, and she asked me. She sat me down. She says, "Well, tell me about this game." Right? She wasn't going off half cocked by what the media was saying, right? So we sat down, and I showed her the books, and I explained to her, and she's like, they're just making up a bunch of crap, really." Because all Dungeons and Dragons really was storytelling. At the base of Dungeons and Dragons, it's telling a story. It's telling a story with a number of people involved, and it's just using your imagination. And that's where a lot of this gaming we're doing today has stemmed from, right? If it weren't for Dungeons and Dragons and other games that were kind of formulated during that time period, we wouldn't have a lot of the games we do today. So I hope that answers your question. I was kind of thinking there off the side. Poker Mouse says, go Games Workshop late on a Thursday night. So we were rebels and painted the miniatures just to be loud out later in town. Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that Games Workshop originated in the UK. We got them over here, but most of the Games Workshop stuff was sold in like gaming shops, not specifically Game Workshop stores. So you would go to a comic book shop and they would have like a corner over there that would have some paints and some miniatures and stuff. And even today, I'm lucky enough in my area that in this day and time to have a really nice comic book shop. It's not fancy, but he's got tons of stuff in there. And one of the things he does is he upkeeps a nice rack of Games Workshop stuff, miniatures and the whole paints and everything like that. But you know what I found, getting older, my eyes are not even half what they used to be. And when you're painting the miniature, it's like for the ladies doing needlepoint. I used to do needlepoint too. I had fun with it, but it's a lot harder to see, right? So let me jump in here and do my claim over here. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying a discussion. I find it fun. And you can give me some feedback whether you think this is worth it or not. I just basically wanted to say thanks for supporting the channel. Do something a little bit special. And I'm really need to pick up a stone producing plot, but I just can't find a deal on one. All the plots of land I've bought, I've found deals here and there on, but the deals in the regions I want to stay in are far and few in between. I did see that we've got some new types of potions that we'll be able to create with the aura, so I might jump on that. But it won't be long before the big dogs own the whole market, as usual. But kind of got lost in where I was. Brandon says, I do believe they are charging cables that use the magnetic tips for all kinds of devices like the Static 360. Yeah, I was just talking about the Apple ones because they seem to be the first ones who have done it. Maybe somebody else invented it, but Apple was using these way back. I know they were using them a dozen years ago, 12 to 15 years ago, because I was selling computers at Best Buy, and they were selling we had an Apple table there, and we were selling them then. So, and that's before anybody else started using. You didn't see anybody else with them. So. Brandon says, I don't play Splinterlands, but I might consider checking tomorrow's live stream out just to see what all the fuss is about. Oh, it's not a lot of fuss. I mean, it's a card game. It's a collectible card game that has many different parts of it. It's been going for about more than 7 years now, almost 7.5 years. So you collect and trade cards, you play card games. There's a number of different things. One part, what you're looking at here, is the land game, where I own land and I harvest things off of it. Like, seeing this region that I just harvested, I harvested grain, iron, wood, and aura, which is a kind of a magical resource type thing. And you can turn around, sell it, or trade it and make things out of it and things like that. So I wouldn't say it's a commotion, but it's a game that's been around for quite a while. As we know, if games can stick around for more than a year or two, they're doing pretty good, you know. So I just enjoy playing it. I've been playing it for a few years. I've been playing it for... I've been streaming or I've been making videos about it since the end of 2022. So however long that is. So that's like 3 years now. So, and I've been playing it a little bit longer than that because it took me a while to decide I wanted to do a YouTube channel. This is where I have a lot of my property. Paul says, did you see the card Buns, Bags, and Caps made for you? I did. In fact, he had sent it to me before he, I'm seeing if I can pull it up here, before he showed anybody else. I'm seeing if I can pull it up here. So there's the card he made for me. So this is not just so everybody knows, this is not an official in-game card in Splinterlands, but there's a streamer on Twitch that is named Buns, Bags, and Caps, and he streams Splinterlands. And I guess he's somewhat of an artist or a digital artist, and he devised a project where he was going to start making a set of cards in the spirit of Splinterlands, with one for each person that streamed or made content. And this is mine. I liked it. And I also saw that Gold Matters did something on X and did the whole thing where he made it, took AI and made it into a short 3-second video too. So kind of animated it. Gathering says he did a great job on all the content creator cards. I agree. He's going to put out the whole set. In fact, today he had asked me a few different questions because he's going to put out the whole set together and give information on all of the content creators along with their links and stuff like that. So it should be interesting if he hasn't already done it, but he said he was going to do it soon. Brandon says the Netflix series Stranger Things is Dungeons and Dragons. Like, yeah, that's another series that we have enjoyed over the years too, and we're getting ready to, obviously watch this last season coming up. It's almost like you watch these shows and you've watched these people grow up right in front of your eyes. All of the stars of Stranger Things were just little kids when we first quote unquote met them by watching the series, right? And now they're full on adults. So it's kind of weird, but yeah, one of the main topic or the main focal point of the first season storyline is the kids were in the basement playing Dungeons and Dragons, and that's where the story came about, right? So, and then everything went from there. Sherry says you need a magnifying light. Yeah, I do. I do have one. It just, I don't know. I guess it didn't work great for me. Have you ever watched Only Murders in the Building? Yeah, I love that. I love it. That's another thing in my family, another series we watch. Now, my family typically, I get home from work about 5:30 on most days. And then I go into this phase where usually several times a week I try to produce some content for this channel. And I'll sit down at 5:30, usually while my wife is trying to whip up something for dinner, and I try to get something recorded between 5:30 and like 6:30, and then we sit down and we eat and we watch a show. And that's really my only content I watch on TV. And it's about watching TV, but it's more about being with my wife and daughter for a little bit, right? And then after we're done watching that show, we're currently watching back series of it's Star Wars not Galaxies. It's animated Star Wars story, and they've got like 10 years worth of them. But we recently, and I know I'm getting off on a topic here, a tangent rather, but we recently watched all the Star Wars movies back to back to back in order, and we've also watched all of the other Star Wars content that kind of we watched intermittently whenever it came out, like The Mandalorian, things like that. But we wanted to watch everything back to back to kind of, if you watch it haphazardly, you don't really get the full story going through your brain as far as the storyline. But anyway, there's this part between the story of when Anakin Skywalker was very young and on the good side, and then he becomes Darth Vader, and there's this like whole portion of storyline there that they didn't do a whole lot with. It's like, well, how did he get to that point from being very young and a young Jedi to when he was like 18, 19, 20, goes into being an evil guy? That whole part of the story was gone. So my daughter was talking to a guy she works with, and he's like, yeah, you got to check out the animated series because they really fill in a lot. And yeah, it's a cartoon and it's a little bit cheesy, but it is filling in a lot of the storyline. So if you're interested in Star Wars, check it out. Hopefully I didn't get too off on a tangent there. But yeah, we did like Only Murders in the Building. I think they're coming out with another season of it too. I've been a big fan of Steve Martin and Martin Short over the years. You can't really name, it's hard to name a better comedy pair, right? I'm sure there's some, but they're very good together. And I've been watching them since they were like in, Second City and also on Saturday Night Live. I love the old Second City troupe, in Canada, and also the one in Chicago. Yeah, I'm a big fan of theirs. So yeah, we watched only all the seasons of Only Murders in the Building, and I found it interesting that the two old guys, the two older comedians, really work well with Selena Gomez, who's a younger female, and in the matchup, she's the straight woman. In other words, they're the bumbling, goofy kind of guys playing their own distinct personalities, and she's like kind of they're bouncing jokes off of her and stuff. Like every comedy troupe needs every comedy pair needs the straight person, right, where the other person is. So I've really been happy when we went into this. I'm like, how's Selena Gomez going to fit into this, because at that point, all I knew of her was her singing, of course, of Wizards of Waverly Place and that kind of thing. But I've been really happy with how that show has turned out. I've really enjoyed it. Gathering says, what is the thing you are most excited about for Splinterlands in 2026? That's a difficult question. I guess the answer on the surface would be kind of a double-edged sword, because I'm most looking forward to Land 2.0, but I'm most scared about Land 2.0. You've known this. I talk about this all the time. As we've walked through the land game in Splinterlands and it's been developed, each level of development comes out. It offers something new, something exciting, but it also offers a whole new layer of costs involved. And when you look back at what we've paid, I don't know how many land plots you have, but I'm at 26 now. And whenever you look at all the different costs that are involved in bringing a plot of land up and running and getting it to the point where it's producing something, and then going into Land 2.0, all that extra stuff that we're going to have to worry about and extra costs, that's what is kind of scary to me. So I've been doing a lot of serious thinking that I may be one of those people that just produces base materials and sells those on the market. Brandtastic says, or headlights on the glasses. Sherry says, it's a show with Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, and they host a true crime podcast. Yep, they do. Uh, and the running joke is, how many more murders can occur in that building? Oh, Brandon was asking about it. Poker Mouse says, asks, can I ask everyone's opinions on Explorers Club membership? Do you think you should get more with the membership, or are people happy with what they get? Let me log in just to give. There's some people here that aren't familiar with Atlas Earth. Let's see here. And then we can talk about it. No. Tried to sign in with Apple instead of Google. Okay. So we all know it's pretty expensive. It costs $50 a month US, or $550 a year if you buy it on a yearly basis. The details are you get a lot more Atlas bucks on a daily basis to claim. Plus, you get a few fringe benefits, like you can boost 2 extra hours, and 2 or 3 extra hours, and you get a couple extra spins on the wheel, right? So these are fringe benefits. The major benefit is all that extra Atlas bucks that you get on a, let me see if I can pull it up, on a daily and monthly basis. However, here's the big old fat butt about that. Nope, that's my challenge letter. So this is the subscription that if you subscribe, you get this whole right-hand side of the ladder or of the Explorer Club streak. And this is one of the mechanisms built into the game where it's to keep people logging in. Here's the big old fat butt here, is that it's worth it, and I think it's worth the money if you don't miss a day. If you miss a day and your login streak resets, that completely throws the math off. Okay, I've always said that I've done a couple different episodes where I ran the numbers. The Explorer Club comes in second in value to Atlas Buck to dollar conversion, or dollar to Atlas Buck conversion to the challenge ladder. Okay, it's a good value, much better value than just outright buying Atlas Bucks through packages, right? As far as getting extra, I'm pretty sure one of the things this game is about is they've done all the math in the background and went through it with a fine-tooth comb to figure out what they could do, what they couldn't do, what would make them a profit, etc. So I think it's getting a good value for the money spent. I don't necessarily think that anything extra needs to be added, although they have added those 2 extra things over in the last, like in the fall of last year, right? They've given people extra spins, and they've given people extra hours worth of extension. So so I don't know necessarily if they need to add anything more. The value is there. The hard part is saying, oh, I'm going to spend $50 a month on it, right? So I don't. Not to say it's not worth it, but at this point in time, the way I'm playing is to consistently stay in the green, so to speak, with profit. And that's not currently. I'm not currently even making $50 a month. I'm making about 46 or something like that. Now, I'll be making more of that when I come back from my trip, because I'm going to be jumping into the 25% boost rate, buying more badges, right? And then I need to concentrate on taking my main mayorship back. So that's a roundabout way. I hope I answered your question. Sherry says, LOL, the show name makes sense when you watch it. Yeah, the original series, or the original season of Only Murders in the Building. There are people living in the building, and somebody gets murdered, and they start a podcast, and the podcast is them trying to figure out who murdered this person. And then for some reason, it just keeps going because, yeah, I'm not going to spoil, because it's a great series to watch. Gathering says, once I get back from vacation, I may ask you for help on how to start streaming. That is one of my goals in 2026. Sure. Yeah, we can set up a time, and we can just get on a Discord call and talk about it if you have any questions. I've helped a few other people along the way as well, get up and streaming and doing different stuff. I'm not saying I'm a pro. Obviously, I have things go wrong. The thing is that things are always going wrong. And I have this personality trait that is I really beat up on myself whenever something goes wrong. And I've just tried to work on it over the years that I don't freak out too much. And you can't really, when you're live streaming, you just kind of take it cool, and my personality dictates that I like everything to be exactly right. And sometimes when it's not exactly right, I start getting hot and sweating a little bit. But send me. We can talk about it and answer any questions you have. Try to get you up and running. Hey, it's Sherry. Replied to Poker Mouse. I'd always be willing to get more for the Explorer Club. Yeah, I mean, hey, if you're spending $50 a month, um, like I said, the whole thing hinges on making sure you don't miss a day. Because if you miss a day, then you don't get that big old fat bonus at the end of the month. Lancer says you need to buy a lightsaber and have it on your live shows. Brandon says the actress Millie Bobby Brown, who does 11, is on Godzilla King of the Monsters, the follow-up Godzilla versus King Kong versus Kong. Yeah, I've seen her on several different things, and I've been really happy that she's she's taken that role. She got a lot of exposure off of Stranger Things, and she's done a lot with it, and she's turned it around. She's grown older, and she's getting a lot of different movie deals and stuff like that. So I'm happy to see her. But once again, it's kind of this weird situation where you watch these shows when they're kids and everything, and then you see them as they grow older, and they're getting all these other opportunities, and you're like, hey, I knew when she was a kid. When in reality, you didn't really know her. You just watched the show she was on. Hey, it's Sherry says the chemistry between all three is fantastic. I completely agree. The part about that I found interesting was that Steve Martin and Martin Short have been working together for 50 years, right? So they are, hand in a glove type things, and they're excellent comedians in their own right. And I love listening to Steve Martin play the banjo. Excellent banjo player. Just side comment there. But the interesting part there was that she fit into the situation, and it really worked out. So. Gathering asks, what region were you looking for an iron plot? Well, I need an iron plot. No, sorry. Did I say iron? I mean stone. I need a stone plot in 133 or 114. Either one. Because both of them I have to end up buying stone. I don't necessarily need iron. In fact, in 133, I've got 2 extra iron plots that aren't even producing in 1 grain plot. But I would probably trade an iron plot for a stone plot. Definitely. Brandon asks, seems to me Only Murders in the Building is similar to the old movie Tim Curry's Clue. Yeah, they're both mysteries. Or the episode of Family Guys, and then they were fewer episodes. Yeah, well, I guess in the framework that Clue is a mystery, kind of like Knives Out is. That's very close to that. But Clue, the board game, which was what the movie was based upon, is about solving a mystery, right? I loved that game when I was a kid. My cousin had it. We didn't have it, though. So every time we went over to my cousin's house, we wanted to play it. But yeah, I love those type of movies. And just the fact that it's also interesting from the standpoint that Steve Martin and Martin Short are mostly known as comedians, right? Not that they haven't been in dramatic works as well. But it worked really well. So it's glad that it really worked out. Gathering says I have extra stone plots in 43, but a mountain in 133. Yeah, it just seems like over the months I've just picked up deals when I could find them, and this is just the way it worked out. And I've lately, within the last few months, I've been really concentrating more on rares. Brandon says, I had Clue for Sega Genesis. I had a Sega Genesis when it first came out. I can't say that I used it a whole lot because I was in the Navy at that time. And then I ended up like having to sell it to somebody because I had to go out to sea. It was transitioned from a shore base to a ship. So I had to get rid of it. But at that same time, I ended up buying, after I sold that Sega Genesis off, I ended up buying the handheld Sega, I forget what it was, but it was like the first, one of the first handhelds that was truly color, you know, and I played the heck out of that whenever I was out to sea. I had this baseball game that I used to play, and I had played through the World Series so many years in a row. Well, what do you guys think? Do you think this is worth doing every month, once a month? Not too often, just once a month. Think it's worth scheduling in January? Game Gear, you're right. Sherry said it's Game Gear. Yep, I love that. I played the heck out of it. I don't even know where it went, to tell you the truth. You ever have something that you used a lot when you were younger, and then you get to be older and you're like, I know I didn't sell that off or I didn't give it away. Where did it go? Of course, in between then and now, there's been like 3 moves, you know, between houses. And one of the moves was all the way across the country. So, well, from New Orleans to Philadelphia. No, that's great, Sherry. And I'm glad Poker Mouse, I know it's very late over there, but I do appreciate you stopping by. Um, And yeah, we can schedule one. I'll look at the calendar. Unfortunately, Friday nights is about the only time I can do it. I know it's terrible for people in Europe um, because of the time difference, but Friday night's about the only time I can do it. Okay, well, considering we got started late, I think we ran over a little bit, but let's see. Brandon says, Jungle to Jungle, Tim Allen and Martin Short was a favorite of mine. I like Tim Allen and I like Martin Short. I can't say that I remember that one. Gathering says, love having a chat like this once a month, but I work second shift, so maybe not able to attend, but would watch the replay. Yeah, I had thought about that, and I was like, I specifically put out in an announcement that if you couldn't make it, just post some questions, and then I would answer your questions, and you could watch the replay, right, and listen to it, but nobody posted any questions, so... Okay, well, thanks everybody for dropping by. We'll have this again next month, see how it goes, and hopefully my link will work next month. Tomorrow we've got the Splinterlands usual Saturday telecast, as it were, and then I also need to get a haircut to clean myself up a little bit before we go over to my wife's parent. Well, I almost said parents, but her dad's gone. And Sunday's Atlas Earth. So otherwise, I hope all of your holiday preparations going well, and mostly I hope everybody is getting along healthy and everything goes smoothly for the holidays that you celebrate. But thanks for dropping by, and once again, I can't tell you enough. Thanks for supporting the channel and keeping me going. So until that, have a nice Friday evening, and I'll see you when I see you.